Welcome, everybody, to the X Factor podcast today. We're going to be going through week 17 of the NFL season, and we're going to get right into it straight on with the Thursday night football game with the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland has been red hot through most of the season, even with the injuries they are still in somehow. While the Jets, on the other hand, since Aaron Rodgers got hurt, it's been downhill since. And it was just a blowout from here. Cleveland, end of the first quarter, they were up 27, and then they were up 34-10 at half, and that was pretty much the end of the game for them. Or 34-17, yeah, 34-17 and a half, and then that was just the end of them. Hell, Joe Flacco was nearly sleeping on the sideline because it was just he was done after halftime. That's all he needed to do. And in that whole game, he went 19 of 29 for 309, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the whole time Flacco has even been around in this last year. He was with the Jets last year and the last 3 years, and in this year he is 60 completion rating, which is his best since since the last time he threw, or last time he had as good of a season. He had a 65% completion, and that was his first year with Denver, and his last season with Denver. Other than that, he 60 completion rating, 1,616 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 picks, and that's just in 5 games. He threw 5 interceptions in 2 games, throughout 2 games with the Bears and the Texans, but he's been pretty much he's thrown 300 yards almost every game. The only game he didn't throw 300 was against the Rams in December 3rd. Cleveland is heading to the playoffs, so that is one interesting way to look at it stuff now. And if you look at the NFL playoffs as of right now, here let's get this looking here. Try to get the playoff picture looking up here. Everything's so slow. My bad, a little bit of technical difficulties on my side of things here. And as we look heading into the playoffs, they would play Jacksonville in round 1. And which means because how the first round looks so far for the AFC, Cleveland would face Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars already. Bills, Chiefs, Colts, Dolphins. If the Chiefs win, Dolphins win, Cleveland wins. Cleveland has to go on the road to Baltimore and play Baltimore. And they beat Baltimore in Baltimore earlier in the year. So we're going to be seeing potential homecoming for Joe Flacco, and also homecoming for Matthew Stafford. But that is just what we have to see now in the near future. But if that's the case, it's going to be a very interesting playoff run for Joe Flacco. But first off, he would have to win. So that's a big one. He has to win that first playoff game. Detroit versus Dallas in a outstanding playoff game, or almost a future playoff game, I might say. Dallas literally they could have had 17 points. If you would add the 20 that they have now, they should have had 17 points, because there was a touchdown where CeeDee Lamb, or there was an interception Dak threw, and if you would just thrown away, boom, you could add the field goal right there. That'd be 3. And then there was a touchdown where CeeDee Lamb, he caught it and then fumbled and into the end zone. Boom. Um, and then there was another play. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of the play. But there was another play where it could have led it to a touchdown, but did not get in there. So at best, the score could have been 30-19, but missed opportunities really stopped them. Also, a bomb 92-yard touchdown from Dak to CeeDee Lamb in the first quarter. That if Dak and the Cowboys would have won against Miami the week before, that would have been Dak's MVP closer right there. um, in my opinion, Dak is still up there for MVP. I feel like he should be ahead of Lamar just by a little touch. Um, but this game was crazy, especially hitting the fourth quarter. It was 13-20 for a lot during the third quarter. Detroit got a touchdown late in the game. They went for two. They got it, but illegal formation, illegal touching called them, and they had to go in. And I'm going to talk about that here right just quick, because people are saying Detroit got screwed. Detroit got screwed, but also they didn't get screwed. So it was a yes or no screw situation here. Detroit had a chance so they scored, right? But when Taylor Decker went to go talk to the ref, you had another tackle go right in there, and then you had Dan Skipper come in. And the ref would have told you who was the eligible dude, and obviously he said Dan Skipper. So you had every chance to tell Jared Goff or tell someone, hey, let's change it up. They didn't get it right. Blah, timeout, whatever. They didn't do that. They went with it. They got it. Okay, boom. Flag comes in. Boom. Play goes back. They had another shot. Boom. See, Mike Parsons gets offside. Boom. They had another shot. And then underthrew, drop pass. So they had two other shots after that to score, and they did not score at all. So if you're asking me, it's a yes/no situation. It's a yes/no situation. Yes, the ref screwed up, but you had a chance to fix it, and plus you got two other shots to win after that. And plus you didn't even go for a field goal or even try to go for one. You tried to win the game, and you still couldn't. So for me, Dallas won, and that good teams also find ways to win, and that was a good team found a way to win. And people want to say Dallas and the refs had something to do with it, but yet Dallas is the most penalized team in the NFL. So I don't really know what you want me to say. Hell, they had 5 penalties to their 6 penalties, and their penalty was just 1 yard longer. The only thing I'm really worried about for the Cowboys right now is clock management. And I feel like that's going to be the one way that's going to hurt us in the playoff with Mike McCarthy is clock management. So that is one concern I have for them. Texans destroy the Titans at home. Trying to clinch a win right there. Or clinch the division. They're getting close to doing that. Bears destroy the Falcons at home. Want to talk about the Bears here for a second because Bears have already clinched the first overall pick. With the Panthers losing, they clinched the first overall pick. So who you're sitting there when you're like, who do they take? To me, it's kind of obvious who you take. You don't take a quarterback. Justin Fields is he has shown this season that he can be your guy. He has 16 touchdowns, 9 picks, 2,040-some yards, and he has the most passing yards in his career, best completion rating of his career. He's about ready to have the most touchdowns of his career, and the less interceptions than what he had the first 2 seasons. So for me, you look at the Bears roster and you say, what else do we need to do to have this upgrade? Well, you have DJ Moore on one side. Yes, you have Darnell Mooney on the other, but what if you can get that one magic little piece named Marvin Harrison Jr. and you put him right in there with them? Justin Fields is unstoppable. Then you get a little bit of offensive line, then Justin Fields is even more unstoppable. I even said he was going to be unstoppable if you got himself an offensive line. And even without a decent offensive line, he still can go off. So, to me, that's just the way I look at it. I feel like Justin Fields should not have to lose his job because, first off, coaching, or second off, bad organization habits. So if they have the first pick, it's either you trade it, get better picks, or get it better players, or you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you're in for the long run. Also, with Houston, C.J. Stroud came back. I feel like he has also closed his case for the Rookie of the Year honor. He did get concussed a couple weeks ago, so he was out for a couple games, but for me, it's not even close. He took a team that won 2-3 games last year, and look at that. They're 9-7, on ready for a playoff run. So, I think that's pretty obvious on what you look forward to in your future quarterback. Miami versus the Ravens. This was absolutely just a liberation. Lamar Jackson threw 5 touchdown passes. Tua looked awful in this game. I guess that was another way of saying that, maybe they're on fraud alert just a little bit. Yes, they did beat a team with a winning record, but they also beat a team that hasn't been good on the road. So they go on the road, face a real strong Baltimore Ravens team. And to bring this even more hyped, they have blown out good teams this year. If you look at the Ravens' schedule, let's see how many winning teams they have blown out. Okay, so you look at the first game of the year. Texans, 1. You see, look, Cleveland, 2. Detroit, 3. Seattle, 4. Jaguars, 5. 49ers, 6. Dolphins, 7. 7 winning teams they have blown out this season. So, with them having to play Steelers, who they already lost to this year, by the way, this team is looking very, and I mean very, scary. Like, this is a team that could possibility go to the Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson, I feel like he's done the right things to do it. He's 26. I feel like now he is in a state where he could win even better because he now has receivers. And, in his main time with Baltimore, he has not been able to win because he doesn't have the receivers that he needed. So you look at that and you're like, okay, then what do you do? Boom, you get Zay Flowers, and look what he's done with him. One of the best receivers in the NFL. So, for me, I think Lamar should be up there for, he is already up there for MVP. Like I said, him and Dak are easily up there for MVP. Let's see, here's season stats. He is 24 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions, 3,600 yards. He still had good passing numbers, but I still feel, even though they have the best record, he is still one of the most valuable guys on their team. But Dak has been just lights out all year, outside of week 5 or week 1 to week 5, and the 2-game not even the 2-game losing stretch, because one of those games he was outstanding. I feel like Brock Purdy lost his after the Raven game. I still feel like Dak is still in there. Tua, I feel like he lost his already. Jalen Hurts was never even in the conversation, in my opinion. So right now, MVP, Dak and Lamar. And then you got McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill. I feel like those are the only two guys, or only guys you should really consider to be MVP this year. And if we're being real, I think Dak should win it over any of them. So, and let's settle this debate right now too, because I have heard from many people on who is the better receiver, CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown. I think CeeDee Lamb ended that debate the other night too. So I think he ended that debate the other night. So just saying. Um, Looking at some other games that have happened over the weekend and clinching spots. Um, the Saints take down the Bucks in a dominating victory. Last week I was talking about how good Baker Mayfield was, and he did not play good in this out where he threw 2 interceptions, 300 yards, only 11 incompletions, but 2 interceptions is not the best way to finish out. One of the ways to finish out the season. They can still win the division by winning next week against the Panthers, and they would have to host a playoff game against against the Philadelphia Eagles unless Dallas wins, unless Dallas loses and Philly wins, then they would have to host Dallas like they did last year. Bills, Patriots. Bills win by just a few close ones where it was an interception fest. And, the Bills, after beating Dallas, everyone was talking about how good Buffalo was. They gone out and almost lost to two teams that don't even have 6 wins. Josh Allen, 15 for 30, 169 on an interception. You should have seen the stats that he had against Dallas, so that's just another way to tell you if there was no rain, it would have told you a different game. It was just a very ugly game for a lot of the first half, especially for the Patriots and Bills. So, going into the next game, Colts, Raiders. Did not see that game, but Colts did take up the win. But there was a flag at the end where the field goal for the Colts. One of the Raiders were called offsides. It was not even called off. It shouldn't even be called offside. I feel like they got robbed, and that would have tied them and probably try to win them a game. Rams, Giants. Rams take a win, 26-25. I think the Giants tried going for a 2-point conversion, did not get it at the end. Tyrod Taylor trying to spark something up in this Giants team. Just could not get it. Looking at a few other games, 49ers clinched the first seed with a win with Commanders 27-10. Steelers beat the Ravens 30-23. Some really Steelers winning though. I feel like anytime Mike Tomlin's record or having a season above 500 record is on the line, they just play outstanding, and next thing you know, boom, they just win, and now they're hopefully in a playoff spot. Chiefs take a bounce win back off the Bengals. Jake Browning was called for he was called for some penalty, which I feel like it shouldn't have been called. I'm trying to think of the penalty. I can't remember it, but Chiefs take the win. I still feel like that they're not going to be first. They might be first round exits. They just have not been playing very well football. Denver takes a win over the Chargers 16-9, missed the playoffs, and then Packers destroy the Vikings. But there's a couple things I want to talk about here. Panthers lost to the Jags 26-0. Panthers owner, threw a drink at a Jaguars fan. That's caused some controversy right there. I'm sorry, as a owner, you should not. That's just childish. I don't care how bad your team is. You don't just throw your drink at someone because you're mad at your team. To me, that's foolish. It's childish, and I feel like any consequence that comes to you should be authorized and all right with. And then we go down to the upset of the week. The Cardinals defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. This was just embarrassment. Like, how do you lose to this Cardinals team? I get Dallas did it earlier in the year, but Jalen Hurts, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Only 161 yards when you threw 23 times. Kyler Murray played better than him. That's something. James Conner was outstanding. J.J. Brown had 4 catches, 53 yards. Your best receiver, and you can't do nothing with him. Hell, they were up 21-6 and still lost. They only scored 10 points in the second half. To me, that's just embarrassment. And that just shows another way on how pathetic this team can get, especially close to the playoffs, where they're not going to be able to win the division, especially if Dallas wins next week. Dallas has a chance to win the division next week and host one, maybe even 2 playoff games. They're gonna host 2 playoff games if we're being real here. They're gonna host the 2 playoff games, one in the first round, and if they get past that, they'll host one in the second round. And if San Francisco somehow loses, they'll host a third one, and they're undefeated at home. So this team really fucked up. They really did. And plus, they only had 20 minutes of offense to their 40 minutes of offense. So that should also tell you something right there. Also, I was looking up another couple of things. So I was talking about last week about their tush push stuff. So I even put up some more stats. So not only and the scores, if they would not have a rushing touchdown off the tush push, the scores of the Eagles games, they would have started. They would have started the season 6-2, right before they had to play Dallas. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 1-7 after that. So first half of the season they look great. Second season they look awful. And without the tush push, the scores against these teams will be in schedule: 25, 20, 17, 34, 7, 16, 24, 38, 21, 7, 23, 12, 13, 3, 26, 31. They would have a record of 7-9 going into next week. They would have averaged 18 points a game. Their defense would be averaging 33 points a game, which is what they're averaging right now. And their point differential would be, they would have scored 317 points. Their defense would have let up 401 points. And right now, I think with the tush push stuff, they're at 423. So you're talking about almost 100 point advantage without the tush push, and 7-9 record. So that should tell you how pathetic this team is without a tush push. So anyone want to talk about Eagles being the best team? If they take away that tush push next year, they're going to be looking like that. And I'm sorry, with that team aging, it's going to be just like their Eagles teams in the past since they won the Super Bowl. Bad every year. And then another thing, so there's another thing I want to talk about here. The Cowboys have, if we're talking about teams that have current winning records, Dallas are currently 1. I don't know what I was gonna say. I was out of it on there. But that is all I got for y'all today. Y'all stay blessed. That is your recap, my thoughts on a lot of the week 18 stuff. College football playoff will be talked about in the next couple of days. Also, the X Factor Wrestling Awards will also be coming out in the next couple of days too. So y'all stay tuned for that. Have a blessed day and good night.